Welcome to the Hope on the Hard Road podcast, where you and your family can find community, find encouragement, and find hope for the road ahead. Speak encouraging words to one another. Build up hope so that you will all be together in this. 1 Thessalonians 5:11. Before we get started today, we want to let you know that we are coming up on our annual Mom's Day Out retreat this May 17th through the 19th. Ladies, this year's retreat is going to be amazing. We're going to the Oaks here in San Diego, where we will enjoy luxury bunkhouse accommodations, yummy chef-created cuisine, an inspiring conference, and community connection with other moms who get it, along with lots of fun free time and rest, and activities including swimming, yoga under the stars, fireside chats, and much more. Register now on our website at hopeonthehardroad.org or via the link on our social media. So hurry and grab your weekend retreat or Saturday tickets with a friend, and we'll see you there. Hey guys, we're so excited you joined us today. We are beginning our series for moms. With our Mom's Day Out event coming up in May, we wanted to share with you a little bit about last year's event. So sit back with your favorite drink or plug in your headset as you run or drive to your next stop. Wherever you are, we're glad you're listening in, and we hope you enjoy our moms panel as they share from their experiences and their hearts. Let's listen in. This is something that we really like to do because it's, I can get up here and speak, and Melissa's doing a phenomenal job of it. But it's really a great thing to have different moms in different walks of life, but really there's this common thread, isn't there? Our kids have different diagnoses, different ages, stages. And this is just such an encouraging time, and I really appreciate these ladies. So we're going to start just by saying a little bit about each one of them, let them introduce themselves. So Stacy, go ahead.
I don't speak loudly, so I'll take the mic. I'm Stacy Schrader, and my husband's pastor. We have three delightful children, 13, 10, and 9. Our 9-year-old we adopted at 2.5 from East Asia. And she has cerebral palsy and something called kyphoscoliotic Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, a connective tissue disorder that affects everything but fragile skin, loose ligaments, all that kind of stuff. So we got the whole gamut.
My name is Andrena, and I have 2 kids. My daughter is the oldest. She is 13, and my son is 9, and he has Soto syndrome, which is also a rare disease. It's 1 in every 16,000 live births, and we found it was a genetic thing. Our family doesn't have it, and then it's me and my husband.
Hi, my name is Sherry, and I have a daughter who is just about to turn 34. And she is on the autism spectrum as well as has an intellectual disability. And then I have a 30-year-old son who I guess we're referring to now as neurotypical.
Hi, I'm Sandy, and my husband Jeff and I have been married for 38 years. And we have 2 adult sons. Jared is 35 and Joel is 32. And both of them are on the autism spectrum. I'm kind of on either ends of the spectrum. And we live in Fallbrook.
Hi, I'm Terry Stashak, and I'm grateful to be here on this panel and here with all you ladies. I've gotten to meet several of you, and it's amazing to hear your stories. My husband and I were blessed 24 years ago with twin baby girls. One, we learned a new definition of typical, healthy and typical, and the other diagnosed with Down syndrome. with several holes in her heart, and it changed our lives. But I have 24 years to look back, and it changed it for the better, getting to meet people like you, to develop our own testimony and be able to share it and help others. So I'm grateful. I am grateful.
Thank you, ladies. So we'll start with a question to Andrena. How did you accept your child's diagnosis and move forward in those early years?
So I found out while I was pregnant that my son was going to be born with special needs. We did not know with what kind. We did not have a diagnosis. Just while he was developing, with the ultrasounds and everything, they just kept telling me that it was abnormal and that he was going to be born with something. The doctors thought it was going to be something more like a Down syndrome. It wasn't, but we just always knew that he was going to be born with something. When I first heard that, I was shocked. I didn't know what to think. You know, I had already my daughter who was born typical, I guess. But so I didn't know how to take that. I was very shocked. And my husband was working in Michigan at the time at a very corporate level job. So we both were like, he wasn't near me at all when I got that diagnosis while I was getting my ultrasounds done. So I was very much in shock. But, you know, after being on the phone with him, I left the doctor, sat on the phone. I said, "You won't believe what he just said." And I was like, I was still processing it at the same time. But, you know, after he was born, he left the job. We started our own job and we started our own life. So it was just a lot of processing. I don't think we really processed it until after we had him in our arms and realized what it was going to mean and what it really was entailing and all the, you know, special care that it was going to take. You know, the first 6 months of constant doctor appointments, constant getting evaluations, seeing different therapists, seeing different specialists, and then finally we got the genetic testing and we were like, oh, this is exactly what it means. So, yeah, I mean, I guess at the beginning it was a lot of disbelief, a lot of not wanting to accept it, you know, just being, and you know, he was still in my tummy. So we were like, it's not real. And then he was born and we're like, oh, it's real. So it was a lot of that for us at the beginning, but we accepted it and we took it. And like I said, it was a lot of life changes, you know, leaving his job and then starting our own to be able to fit what it was going to be of a lot of doctor appointments, a lot of, you know, taking care of him and a lot of things, obviously catering to his needs. So, yeah, I think that's what it was.
Totally. Oh, gosh, thank you so much for sharing that.
Yeah, for sure.
This next question is for Sandy. While raising your family, how did you balance the needs of your family, work, self-care, keeping up on friendships, and caretaking for your other children as well?
I didn't. I didn't. And in some things, I did well, and some things I didn't do well at all, and that's okay. Because each day was a different day, and I did learn early on that God only asked for me to give the best that I could give each day. And some days I had a lot I could give, and some days I only had a little bit. And if that's all I could give, he was thrilled and honored with that. And so fast forward 30-something years later, this year a friend had an intervention on me for saying, your head's a mess. She knew I had several concussions. I am diagnosed with concussion syndrome. And I heard it on the football field, but that's another story for another day. And I went to the doctors and they scanned my brain and they said, wow, we see you have 5 concussions and we see you have PTSD, and you have one of the highest anxieties we've ever seen in a brain. And I'm like, wow, I have anxiety? And then he said, see this part of the brain? This is, we call your God part of the brain. This is where your wisdom and your faith is. Yours is double the size. And that is what is holding you all together. And I'm like, you found Jesus in my brain. And they said, we can help you though. And this is what I want to get at, is why it was so hard for me in the beginning, because there was loss of friends, there was loss of family, we had to make our own little nucleus of family. But now, all these years later, so I want to encourage you is to take care of your brains. So the doctors now say, yes, take your supplements, take your vitamin D, take, all the different things that I'm taking and restoring, renewing my brain. So my point is, even though life is different in all these areas of family and church and school and all that and it's easy for somebody to say, and Melissa alluded to it, was, oh yeah, just go take a nap. It's just like, you can't do that. My kids were 24/7. I didn't sleep for 20-something years, and so you can't just go do that. You can't just go somewhere and leave your kiddo. But you can take the supplements. You can be the best that you can in those little areas, and it will really help your brain in the long time. So that's probably the best, looking back on it. And don't get your head knocked. So,
Sandy, thank you so much for sharing that. It's been such a journey, I know. And, that's part of why we're doing what we're doing this weekend, is to put that caregiving for yourself, right? Self-care into your routine, and just to stop for a moment and think about yourself, because we so often are just 24/7 about our kids, whatever the age. And so thanks for sharing that. This next question is for Terry. Did you ever struggle emotionally or spiritually with all of this? And what did you do to get through it and come out the other side healthy?
Well, we did not know that Katie had Down syndrome until the day the twin baby girls were born. So that caught us completely off guard. And of course, that roller coaster of emotions, being so thrilled and blessed to have twins and to find out that Katie had Down syndrome and the unknown. And frankly, it was the panic that had us kind of stopped. You see, I was active duty Navy, stationed in Pensacola, Florida, and my husband was active duty Army, stationed 2.5 hours away in Fort Rucker, Alabama. And we really thought we had a game plan. We had a dear next door neighbor friend who was the best mom and grandma, who was going to be our nanny and help support me after hours if needed, but we thought we had the best plan. Well, that went out to the window. So God had a plan. God really had a plan. I mean, I remember praying, give us what we can handle, and he did. My husband, with his faith and a very strong family background, and made the decision himself, gave up his very successful future in the Army and retired and came home to be Mr. Mom for 4 years until I could retire. Amazing. God had that plan, but that plan also, in helping us with this roller coaster of emotions, God gave him that planning brain, which was wonderful in the Army. You had to know what was coming up and all the different plans to handle all the different things that were going to come up. Well, because of him and our team, he and I together, we went out and researched. We went out to find out where their support, well, first and foremost, Down syndrome, what the devil are we dealing with? What do we need to do? What are the support systems? We went to the church, found out special needs ministry. We were in Florida, came to Camp Pendleton, and searched and researched. And now, knowing Hope on the Hard Road, we have another opportunity to meet each other, because learning about all these things, I think the most important thing that has come out of it is that we meet each other. And we have our own stories, we have our own experiences, lessons learned. It may be that you're in the trenches right now, but you've been given a testimony. And it's amazing how we come together, we find those people that become part of our village and help us through those roller coaster emotions. And it's so good. I'm getting chills. It's wonderful to have this, and just in this room.
I love it. Thank you so much. So much. Sherry, this next question's for you. Do you have any advice on how we can thrive in our marriages in the midst of all the hard? Right? I know. How?
Okay, so my husband heard that I was going to have this question, and he said, please talk about sex, please. I was like, you gotta be kidding me. And he goes, no, I'm not. So thriving in our marriage, I guess that means we have to grow. Thriving means growth. I think, and it sounds very cliche, but I think communication is the only way we are gonna get through raising our kids and thriving in our marriage. You have to communicate. So when somebody has a meltdown, and that could be one of the kids or ourselves, we or the husband, you have to check in with each other and go, okay, what happened here? Communicate. And that is not, I like to shut down. That's my, what do they call it? Thank
coping.
you. That's my coping skill, is I like to shut down. I have to process it for a while. And that is the opposite of my husband. He wants answers, and he wants them immediately. And so it took a long time, but I've learned, we've learned each other's patterns. I know he wants answers, but he also knows I need time. And we got to that point where we understood each other by talking about it and just saying, I need time to think about and process before we start discussing it. And he respected that. So communication is key. I'm going to say making time to be alone, to connect, is the other thing that's really important, which I know sounds like a joke, but it's not. It's not a joke. And I know a lot of us have talked before about trying to have date nights. And date nights can be getting in your car and driving to go get dessert. Did you guys do that one time?
Yes, exactly. We get in our minivan and we go over to the coast and we just hang out there. And sometimes our daughter is in the minivan with us, oftentimes. She's in the back seat watching movies.
Just put their headphones that they wear everywhere, put those on, and you guys can talk, right? So either that, or my daughter's really good at faking that she's not listening. But anyway, so date nights can look like go get coffee and go stroll through Home Depot or Target, or, that can be a date night. It can be anything. It can be go in your backyard and take a jacuzzi together. And if you don't have a jacuzzi, you can take a bath together. So I broached it.
There's that plug.
Sex. Yes. So, but, how many of our husbands have taken the love language test, and physical touch is their, love language, right? And that's how God made them. There's a reason why. Men typically score high in that area, and that's because they need the physical touch to connect with us. And so, having said that, I know I have days where if one more person needs something from me, I feel like my head's going to explode and swirl around. And so, again, it comes back to communication, and just say, I know, they'll give you that look, and you're like, not going to happen. However, we'll just talk and just say, you know what, I just have had a day or a week or whatever. Please, I just want some alone time. I just want to, it used to be I used to look at magazines and look at pretty pictures of flowers and stuff. Now I scroll through my phone and look at pretty flowers and stuff like that. But yeah, I just need an escape. I want to look at pretty things to escape. But if you can give me that, then it's your turn. And so when they give you that time for yourself, it's important to remember that when it's their turn, you have to show up, just like they did for you. And so I think that those are some of the things that are important. And really, it just comes down to communication. So
That's great. Thank you so much. So this next question is for Stacy. What would you share about caring for and nurturing your relationship with your other children as you raise them?
Yeah, my kids are still fairly young, so we're still trying to figure some of this out. But I think that's a lifelong thing, though, right? I think for us, our daughter with special needs takes up so much time with the doctor's appointments and the therapies every day and the this and then. I mean, you all know that. And so we kind of start getting to this routine of just caring for her and her needs. And you can kind of see your other kids like off in their rooms by themselves or reading a book or taking care of themselves. And so we try really hard to make sure that we are connecting with each one of our kids on a very personal level. We know that our son loves music. We know that he loves flag football. Like, those are the things that give him joy. So we try really hard to connect with those things. My husband is coach of his team, and our daughter loves to do like STEM stuff. She loves to take recycled trash and make it into things. And so we craft together, and we try to find things in their every day that will bless them and remind them that we are still on their side just as much as we're on our other daughter's side. And for us, our church is a huge part of that. And as a family, we're very connected at church, and like that's kind of our special place and our special time. And we get to kind of love on each other in a different sort of way through our church community, and our church community helps us love on our kids well, and so yeah, I don't know. I think it's a work in progress, and as our kids get older and they have different interests and different passions, I think it's going to look different. But for now, I think it's just so important to connect with each one where they are, even if you can't always spend the most time on them.
That's so good, Stacy. Thank you. Oh, goodness. So, Terry, this one's going to be fun. Do you have any advice, tips, or stories you'd like to share about the adolescent years?
I got the question about adolescence. What was funny is I have lots of stories to share. You have 2 girls and drama and puberty stories, and there's too many to count, so not going to share that tonight. I think just sitting down, I talked with my husband. I said, what would you say? And he came up with one topic, and I came up with another, communication being one, and absolutely critical. But the other, he said activity, and I could see that exactly. What we learned in a recommendation, I have a daughter with Down syndrome, and when they hit puberty, their metabolism precipitously drops. I mean, I feel like it went to 0. You notice how many Downs individuals are very heavy. Well, it's because of their metabolism. It goes to nothing. And you think of your kids, though, when they get to adolescence, too, and the phones and watching TV and the inactivity. My biggest thought and suggestion, my husband said it too, was get your kids to find their passion, to find their interest. It doesn't necessarily have to be sport, but there are wonderful programs for Special Olympics. There are programs out there. There's soccer programs. I know Top Soccer. There are, I know San Marcos has a Shooting Stars program. Depending on where you're at, research it. There are programs out there. I think Down Syndrome Association, they have a program to teaching the kids how to ride a bicycle. And it may not just be Down syndrome. I mean, there are things out there. So it could be just bike riding. During COVID, Katie, my husband, and I walked almost every day. And in fact, Katie learned when Frank and Katie went walking, she now knows all the trees, all the cars' names. She knows a manhole cover, a gutter, a sidewalk. I mean, there were words that she really never knew. Well, now she's real good at it. So walking as a family, walking the I Spy, or doing anything like that, get them active because, again, they get to adolescence and you kind of lose them. You kind of lose them. That hormone surges, everything. And when it comes to communication, what I've found personally, and what I started at a very young age, is that relationship with anybody who came into contact with Katie. Teacher, teacher's aide, bus driver, neighbors, Katie's sister, her friends. They were at the same middle school together. And I could get the stories because Katie was not able to verbally communicate clearly. So frankly, if I don't know the subject, I'm a little lost at what she's trying to tell me. She'll get tearful about something, and I don't know what she's talking about. So I have access. The teachers were so wonderful. They'd say what was going on, or I could call or text and say, hey, she's upset about something. I think it's about this person. Did something happen today? So that I can help her navigate. So that communication with all those individuals early on and carry it through, because adolescence, we have to deal with special education with our kids, most of them. We're talking about 3 age groups in middle school, 6th, 7th, and 8th grade in the same classroom. Different maturity levels, different age levels, different needs, and the things they see at a typical school, much less in the classroom. Now you go to high school, that's 4 age groups. And you can imagine freshman to senior. Holy cow. Katie did learn the topic, I am an adult, when she turned 18, because anybody who turned 18, they were now adults, and she uses that adult thing. I remind her she lives in my house. So we go down that road. So again, with the communication, it's critical, it's vital. The other thing is preparing for puberty. There's wonderful resources out there, and what I would suggest is to find someone that's been there, done that. There's lessons learned. What would you do? What did you look at? Was there anything that could help you? God blessed us with twins of the same sex. I had a daughter that was going through puberty, and thank you, Lord, she went first. So we were able to kind of march through it with Megan as the example and the changes, and be able to prepare Katie. She hated blood. Well, we talked about Band-Aids, a big Band-Aid. You know, whatever works to help your children understand and meet. I was lucky with siblings. If there's kids at school that have become friends, there's best buddy programs. There's things that go on with that getting into that adulthood. But there are people, your neighbors, if they see something, just let people know you are open, willing, and able to hear things and ask questions. And what I did find at a very early age, there are wonderful students out there that one of Megan's friends absolutely adored Katie. I mean, we're talking elementary school, and would not let her be left behind. So you will find those kids, nurture that relationship, and that Best Buddies program. I have been to more birthday parties, graduations, and celebrations that the best buddy was there as one of their best friends. So you have that to look forward to.
Oh, thank you so much. We're coming up on time here, so I'm going to have Sandy answer this last question, which is, what is one thing you would like to share with these moms to help bring hope for their road ahead?
Oh, wow. One thing. If I want one thing, it's Jesus. It's Jesus. That is where our hope is. And because my family has been through a lot, not only having two, we've had cancer, we've had concussions, we've had all kinds of things. And the only thing I can go back to is that Jesus, that he has me in the palm of his hand. He has promised me. He is, to me, I use the word, I don't know why he gave me a mathematical term because I am not good in math, but he gave me the term, I am a given, I'm an absolute, and no matter what happens, I will always be there with you. And he always has. He's always been faithful and true, and being in his word, helping our children be in his word. That's what I shared with her, that still instill in your children that the hope of Jesus Christ for them, not only our walk with Jesus, but that he has a walk for your child, no matter how or disabled they are or aren't disabled. God is going to use them, and having two on opposite ends of the spectrum, one that's very verbal and literally speaks all over the world to people about special needs and autism, to my other son that can't speak at all and lives in a group home and currently is in a wheelchair. God uses both of them, so you can rest in that hope that if you open your hands and say, Jesus, my child is yours, and then sit back and hold on for the ride, because he's going to use them, and it may be things that we might not see this side of heaven, but someday, soon, I know you'll run into people in heaven and going, oh my gosh, your son smiled the way he just held my hand, and he always hugged me, didn't say a word, so have that hope that Jesus is using your child, no matter what their journey is.
Thank you for that. I know we see that with our daughter. Just there's this sixth sense. And our kids, gosh, God just works through their disability in ways that he does not work even through us. It's a really amazing and beautiful thing. So thank you for sharing.
Share one thing, just because you never know what our kids are taking in.
Right.
I used to teach adult Sunday service with special needs with Kathy. And, you teach them like you would teach anybody. Do not dumb down Jesus to your children, okay? Joel, when he was 10, and, he's on autism, we're laying on the bed, and we see the moon coming up. And he goes, oh, Mom, look at the full moon. That's God's flashlight. He's watching us. And I'm like, whoa, where did that come from? Then he began to tell me every instance in the Bible where there's a moon. And so he had been hearing and listening and taking that all in. So, you never know. Just share Jesus with him, right?
Oh my goodness. I am so blessed by each and every one of you. Thank you so much for doing this and for sharing your lives and your hearts and your walks with us, Lord, and all of you. So thank you. Resources and contact information for today's podcast will be included in the show notes. If you enjoyed this podcast, please share us with others and be sure to follow us so you won't miss an episode. And we'd love to hear from you, so please leave us a comment or rating and connect with us on social media or on our website at hopeonthehardroad.org.